I never realized how loud a house could feel when pain lives in your body. Every heartbeat after the surgery felt like a hammer tapping against the stitches in my abdomen. The walls echoed with the slightest sound. My breathing, the creak of the bed springs, the hum of the air conditioner. Recovery was supposed to bring relief, a slow mending of the body and spirit. Instead, it was the calm before a storm I never saw coming. The morning sun spilled through my curtains in thin, weak streaks. I had barely slept. Each time I dozed, the ache in my stomach jolted me awake. The surgeon had warned me, no sudden movements, no lifting, and don't walk unless absolutely necessary. Let yourself heal. I intended to follow that advice. What I didn't expect was how little my daughter cared to help me do it. Emily had insisted she and her husband, Mark, move in before the surgery. She said she wanted to support me, though deep down I wondered if she simply wanted a free place to stay. For nearly a year, they'd lived under my roof, rent-free, bill-free, responsibility-free. I had paid for everything: food, utilities, toiletries, even the Wi-Fi they used more than I ever did. Still, I told myself it was normal. Parents help their children. That is what love looks like. But love doesn't always return the same way. By the third day post-surgery, my body felt like it weighed 100 pounds more than it did. Every shift in bed sent sharp, electric pain up my side. I hadn't eaten a proper meal since the operation, surviving mostly on water and bland soup. That afternoon, my throat felt dry, painfully so. Swallowing without water was like dragging sandpaper down my esophagus. I called out, "Emily, sweetie, are you there?" No answer. I waited a minute, 2, 3. The dryness worsened. With a trembling breath, I tried again. "Emily, could you bring me some water, please?" This time, I heard something. Muffled voices from the living room, whispering, a sigh, then what sounded like an annoyed groan. The door slammed open so hard the frame shook. Emily stood there, arms folded, shoulders stiff, eyes rolling in a way I didn't understand. "What is it now?" she snapped. Her tone sliced through the quiet room. My heartbeat stumbled. I just need a glass of water," I said, my voice barely above a whisper. She glanced over her shoulder at Mark, who hovered behind her with the expression of a man inconvenienced at the worst possible time. "Seriously," he muttered, "we have our own stuff to do." I swallowed, wincing. "I can't get up right now. The pain." Mark cut me off with a scoff. "We're not your caretakers. Something in my chest tightened. I'm not asking for much. I just had major surgery." Before Mark could speak again, Emily exploded. "We are not your servants." The words slammed into me harder than the pain ever had. For a moment, the world fell completely silent. The kind of silence that is heavy, suffocating, unreal. I stared at my daughter, not the woman she had become, but the little girl whose scraped knees I bandaged, whose nightmares I chased away, whose college acceptance letter I celebrated like it was my own victory. Her face was twisted with frustration, almost disgust. I opened my mouth to speak, but the words tangled in my throat. How can you talk to me like that?" I whispered. "Oh my God, Dad," she snapped. "You act like you're dying. We've done everything around here for days. We're exhausted. Everything." I thought of the untouched dishes in the sink, the unmade bed, the trash Mark had walked past twice that morning, the groceries I ordered myself through an app because they forgot, the meals I prepared for them before the surgery, the years of comfort and support I provided, everything. My hands trembled. "You don't have to yell," I said softly. "I'm not asking for something unreasonable." Emily threw her arms up. "Of course you're not. You never think you are. It's always Emily, help me with this, or Emily, do that. I'm not your maid." My eyes burned not with anger, but with something deeper, a cracked, fragile sadness. "I'm your father," I said. She rolled her eyes again. "Yeah, well, that doesn't mean we're your servants." That word rang out again. Asterisk, servants, asterisk, like an accusation, a wound, a betrayal. And something inside me snapped. Not in anger, not in vengeance, but in clarity. Very quietly, very calmly, I said, "Get out." Emily froze. "What?" Mark blinked like he hadn't heard correctly. "You're kicking us out? Seriously?" "Yes," I said, voice steadier than I felt. "Both of you, get out of my house." Emily laughed, bewildered. "Dad, you're being ridiculous. You're sick. You need help." "No," I said. "What I need is respect." Mark scoffed again. "You can't survive without us. I've survived worse," I whispered. Emily stared at me for a long second, anger simmering, disbelief shaking her shoulders. Then she spun around and stormed out. Mark muttered something about ungrateful old men before following her. The front door slammed. The house fell silent. And I lay there staring at the ceiling, listening to the echo of her voice over and over. Asterisk, asterisk, we are not your servants. Asterisk, asterisk, my heart had weathered grief before. I lost my wife too young. I raised a daughter alone. I rebuilt my life from ashes. But nothing hurt like hearing those words from the person I had loved most in this world. I thought the worst was over. But what I discovered next, what was hiding in this quiet house, would shatter me even more. Silence is strange. Sometimes it comforts you, wraps around you gently like a warm blanket. But sometimes it presses in, tightening around your ribs, whispering truths you've ignored for too long. The first morning after Emily and Mark left, the silence had weight. I woke to a house that felt too still, too breathless, like it was holding back a confession. My body protested as I slowly sat up. The pain pulsed through my stitches, reminding me that I was still fragile, physically and emotionally. I reached for the water bottle I had struggled to grab the night before. Empty. I chuckled bitterly. Servants, I whispered to no one. I had raised a daughter who believed helping her recovering father for a few days meant servitude. The thought stung, but there was no time for self-pity. I needed to move. Leaning heavily on my cane, I made my way to the living room. The house was a mess, dishes abandoned, wrappers on the table, blankets strewn over the couch, for two adults who claimed they had done everything. They certainly left a trail of chaos behind. But the mess wasn't what caught my attention. Her purse, Emily's purse, spilled open on the sofa, its contents halfway dumped out, as if she had grabbed it in a hurry and forgotten half of what was inside. I shouldn't have looked, I knew that, but something tugged at me. A quiet voice inside whispered, asterisk, look closer. There's more here than you think. Asterisk, I bent down slowly and reached into the purse, pulling out an envelope with my name printed on it, not in handwriting, but typed. My stomach tightened. Inside was a credit card statement, one I had never seen before. At first, I thought it was a mistake, maybe an old bill or something Emily had mixed up with my mail. But then I saw the cardholder name, asterisk, asterisk, David Marshall, asterisk, 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 account ending in 3008, 184, asterisk, asterisk, my name, my account. But none of those purchases were mine. Luxury clothing stores, high-end electronics, a hotel in Miami. $700 withdrawal at an ATM I had never been near. I felt the blood drain from my face as the truth sank its claws into my chest. They had used my identity, my credit, my trust. My hands trembled so violently that the papers slipped from my fingers and scattered across the floor. No, 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 I whispered, sinking into the nearest chair. I grabbed my phone with shaky fingers and logged into my bank account. The numbers blurred for a moment before coming into focus. Transfers, withdrawals, payments I never made. Thousands of dollars gone. My pulse roared in my ears. I pressed a hand to my chest, struggling to breathe. Every memory of the past months flashed before me like a cruel slideshow. Moments I had brushed off as mistakes or forgetfulness now pieced together into a horrifying picture. Emily and Mark hadn't just disrespected me. They had taken advantage of me, used me, stolen from me. The betrayal was so sharp, so sudden, that I felt physically ill. I leaned forward, elbows on my knees, letting the realization crush me slowly like a collapsing roof. For a long time, I didn't move. When I finally gathered the strength to stand, the house seemed unfamiliar. The pictures on the wall looked different, the furniture seemed colder, everything felt tainted. As I made my way down the hallway, something caught my eye, Emily's old bedroom door slightly ajar. I hesitated. Part of me didn't want to know anything more. I had already discovered enough to break a lesser man. But another part of me, the part that had survived losing my wife, raising Emily alone, and rebuilding my life, needed answers. I pushed the door open. The room was a mess of clothes, open drawers, and stray belongings they hadn't bothered to take. A faint smell of perfume lingered in the air, mixed with the stale odor of neglect. On the desk sat a small notebook. A simple spiral, bound journal with a cracked blue cover. It was half open, as if someone had been writing in it recently. I shouldn't have invaded her privacy, but she had invaded far more than that. I picked it up. The first page that caught my eye made my stomach twist. Asterisk, asterisk. Dad won't say no. He never does. Asterisk, asterisk. I swallowed hard and read the next line. Asterisk, asterisk. We can use his credit for the investment. He won't notice. Asterisk, asterisk. My breath hitched. Then the next asterisk, asterisk. Keep him feeling guilty. It works. Mark says once we have enough, we can move out and get our own place. Dad will manage. Asterisk, asterisk. My heart felt like it had been split open. Not once, not twice, repeatedly. Every word struck like a hammer. This wasn't a misunderstanding. This wasn't frustration. This wasn't a lapse in judgment. It was a plan, a calculated plan to drain me dry. My vision blurred as tears burned down my cheeks. I sat on the edge of her bed, gripping the notebook so tightly it crumpled in my hands. How could you? I whispered into the empty room. After everything, how could you? I don't know how long I sat there. Eventually, a soft knock on the front door pulled me back to reality. I wiped my tears and shuffled to the living room. When I opened the door, my neighbor, Mrs. Jensen, an elderly woman with kind eyes and a steady voice, stood there holding a pot of soup. I heard what happened, she said gently. Are you all right? I tried to smile but failed. I don't know. She stepped inside hesitantly. She wasn't the type to intrude, which meant her next words were chosen carefully. I didn't want to interfere, she began, lowering her voice, but I heard them once. Emily and her husband, they were in your driveway. They didn't know I was outside. My heart thudded painfully. She continued, They were laughing about how you're too old and soft to notice anything, and how it's easy to get money out of you. A sharp, cold ache spread through my chest. They said that? I whispered. She nodded. I'm so sorry. I closed my eyes, the weight of betrayal pressing down harder and harder. How long had I been blind? How long had I mistaken manipulation for dependence? How long had I thought love was a shield, when in reality it had become a weapon used against me? That night, after Mrs. Jensen left, I gathered the strength to check the house one last time. Something in me urged me toward the small bookshelf in the living room. When I tugged on it, the whole frame shifted slightly. Behind it was the tiny camera I had installed months ago after a break-in scare. A camera I had forgotten even existed. With trembling hands, I checked the footage. I wish I hadn't. On the screen, Emily and Mark sat in my living room laughing, drinking wine I had bought. Emily, he'll sign anything if I say it's for his future. Mark, good. We need that house under our name eventually. Emily, he's too stupid to realize. The room spun. My heart shattered for the second time in a single day. My daughter, my only family, had never planned to take care of me. She had planned to take everything. I closed the laptop slowly. And in that moment, as the house around me fell into crushing silence, one truth settled in my bones. Asterisk, asterisk, this wasn't the end of something. It was the beginning. Asterisk, asterisk, the beginning of a reckoning. A reckoning I never wanted, but now refused to avoid. Revenge is a strange thing. People imagine it as fire wild, blazing, destructive, but true revenge The kind born from betrayal, heartbreak, and months of silent suffering. It's not fire, it's ice, calm, controlled, precise. I didn't want revenge when Emily and Mark left. Not at first. I wanted answers. I wanted to understand how my daughter, my sweet, stubborn one, soft-hearted little girl, could grow into a woman who saw her father not as family, but as an opportunity. A bank account, a stepping stone. But when the answers came, when the truth settled in like poison in my blood, something inside me changed. Pain morphed into clarity, clarity morphed into resolve, and resolve, when sharp enough, becomes revenge. Asterisk asterisk, one asterisk asterisk, the morning after watching the footage, I called an old friend, Thomas Pierce, my lawyer of 23 years. The man who had handled every document after my wife died. The only person who had seen me at my lowest and didn't judge. David, he answered on the second ring, concern already in his voice. You sound rough. Everything okay? No, I said honestly. I need help. I told him everything, every ugly detail, every stolen dollar, every laugh from the recordings that still echoed in my skull. Thomas didn't interrupt. He listened the way he always had. When I finished, he exhaled deeply. You've been too kind, my friend, but kindness doesn't mean weakness. And right now, you need to protect yourself. How? I asked. With the truth, he said, and the law. Asterisk asterisk, two asterisk asterisk, for the next 3 weeks, while my body healed slowly, Thomas worked. And I followed his instructions meticulously. We gathered bank statements, camera footage, forged signatures, credit card authorizations I had never seen. We built a timeline of every financial offense, identity theft, unauthorized credit use, fraudulent transfers. Attempted coercion, even the notebook, the one that held Emily's manipulative words, became evidence. But I didn't stop there. I hired a private investigator named Callum, recommended by Thomas, a quiet man with sharp eyes and a talent for uncovering truths people didn't want found. Within 10 days, he delivered a report on Emily and Mark's finances. They were drowning, maxed out cards, overdue payments, a failing business investment. That was nothing more than a flashy crypto scheme Mark had fallen for. They had been counting on my savings to bail them out. My daughter hadn't yelled at me because she was overwhelmed. She yelled because she was scared. Scared that her safety net was slipping away. Scared that I might stop being the endless well she had drawn from for years. That knowledge didn't comfort me, but it gave me power. Asterisk asterisk, 3 asterisk asterisk, Emily began texting by week 2. Asterisk asterisk, Dad, can we talk? Asterisk 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 asterisk, this is getting ridiculous. Asterisk 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 asterisk, we need money for rent. Asterisk 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 asterisk, you can't just cut us out like this. Asterisk asterisk, I didn't respond. Mark called once, his voice angry and strained. I know you're ignoring us on purpose. We need help. You can't just abandon your daughter. I hung up before he finished the sentence. They knocked on the door once. I didn't open. Mark kicked the door. Emily cried. I stayed silent. Let them panic. Let them feel the consequences of their choices. Revenge was no longer a fire. It was frost creeping slowly, silently, reshaping everything it touched. Asterisk asterisk, 4 asterisk asterisk, by the end of the month, Thomas filed the paperwork, identity theft charges, fraud, unauthorized financial activity, a cease and desist, a motion to block them from accessing any future assets of mine, and finally a complete redrafting of my will. For years everything, my savings, my home, my insurance, was meant for Emily, a safety net for her future, a gift of love from a father who wanted her life to be easier than his had been. But now Emily received asterisk asterisk, nothing asterisk asterisk. Every dollar would go to charity, a foundation supporting single parents and abandoned children. Children who knew what true hardship felt like, not the kind created by entitlement. When Thomas slid the new will across his desk toward me, I hesitated. "Are you sure?" he asked softly. I stared at my signature line. I didn't want to disown Emily out of spite. But I needed her to understand something she had forgotten. Love is not a right, it is a privilege. And she had thrown that privilege away. I signed. A slow, quiet relief settled in my chest, like finally setting down a heavy stone I'd been carrying for years. ###*5***. The official notice was delivered to Emily and Mark 3 days later. That evening, my phone rang. Her number. I let it ring 4 times before answering. "Dad," her voice cracked, thick with panic. What is this? What did you do?" I protected myself. I said calmly. "You can't sue your own daughter," she cried. "I didn't sue you. I corrected. I reported a crime. It wasn't, Dad, come on. It wasn't like that. You stole from me," I said. "You manipulated me. You used my name to open accounts. You planned to take my house. I never. I have recordings, Emily." Silence. Painful, heavy silence. Her breath shook on the line. "Dad, please," she whispered. "We're in trouble. We need help." "You needed help long before this," I said softly. "But you never asked for it. You took instead, and now you face the consequences." "I'm your daughter." "Yes," I said. "But being my daughter doesn't give you permission to hurt me." A soft sob broke through the speaker. "Please don't do this," she begged. I closed my eyes. I already did. Then I hung up, not because I wanted to hurt her, but because revenge wasn't about hurting her. It was about reclaiming myself, my dignity, my boundaries, my life. For the first time in years, I felt something warm stir inside me, something stronger than anger and deeper than relief. Freedom, ###6***. The sweetest revenge isn't destroying someone. It's letting the truth do the work. It's letting karma arrive in silence. It's reclaiming every piece of yourself that someone once took for granted. I didn't scream. I didn't argue. I didn't seek to ruin Emily and Mark. I simply stopped letting them ruin me. And that quiet, steady choice, it changed everything. But the biggest change, the one that would shake me to my core, was still to come. A truth buried in the past. A truth I never expected. A truth that would force me to question everything I believed about my daughter and myself. The night after I hung up on Emily, I expected anger to follow me into sleep. I expected bitterness to gnaw at my chest, to keep me awake with questions and memories and the kind of regrets that echo in the dark. But instead, what came was emptiness, not peaceful emptiness, not the kind that clears the air and creates room for healing. This emptiness was heavy, dense, suffocating, the kind you feel when the person you love becomes a stranger, and you're forced to mourn them even though they're still alive. I didn't cry. Grief this deep doesn't need tears. It just sits quietly in the bones. The next morning, I woke to a gray sky and a house that felt smaller. Not physically, but emotionally, as if the walls were holding secrets I still hadn't uncovered. I thought I knew everything now. I thought the betrayal was complete. I was wrong. There was one truth left, one I had avoided for years. One that had shaped Emily long before this moment, long before the marriage, the financial mess, the manipulation. A truth buried under grief and misunderstanding, the truth about her mother. ###*1***. It began with an unexpected phone call. I had barely finished breakfast when my phone vibrated. The name on the screen made my breath stop. **Lillian Carter. My late wife's sister. We hadn't spoken in over a decade. David," she said softly. "I heard about everything. Emily called me. I closed my eyes. Of course she did. I'm not calling to take sides," she said quickly. "There's something you need to know." My stomach tightened. "About Emily," she added gently, "and about her mother." A familiar ache spread across my chest. "Lillian, I don't want to relive that time. I know," she said, "but you need to. Because Emily didn't just wake up one day and become this person. Something happened, and I think you never knew." Her voice trembled on the last sentence. A chill ran through me. "What do you mean?" I asked. "Before your wife died, she wrote a letter for Emily. She meant to give it to her when she was older, but she never got the chance." A sharp breath escaped me. "She wrote a second letter for you," Lillian continued. "I found it years ago among her things, but I didn't know how to give it to you. I thought it would hurt more than help." She paused, then added, "I'm sending it now. Please read it." My phone beeped as a picture message came through. A photo of a handwritten letter, my wife's handwriting. My throat tightened. I stepped outside and sat on the porch as the wind brushed cold against my skin, grounding me. Then, with trembling hands, I opened the image. ###*2. The letter ***, the first lines blurred as tears gathered, but I forced myself to read. My dearest David, if you're reading this, it means I'm gone, and I know your heart, you will blame yourself for not saving me. I pressed a hand to my chest as pain stretched deep and old. Wounds reopened? But the truth is that I've been struggling in ways I couldn't voice. Depression runs deeper than the surface you see. I hid it because I didn't want to burden you or Emily. I thought I could handle it. I was wrong. My breath caught. Memories flooded back her sudden silences. The nights she cried quietly. The exhaustion in her eyes I had mistaken for physical illness. You are the strongest man I know, but Emily, she is your heart, and she will not understand my absence. She will grow angry at herself, at me, at you. A tear slid down my cheek. Please don't let her feel alone. She will lash out. She will push you away, but she is not cruel. She is broken. Her heart bruises easily, just like mine. She needs gentleness even when she acts like she doesn't. My hands shook as I continued reading. And please be careful with how you work after I'm gone. You shut down when you grieve. You bury yourself in tasks, because it's easier than feeling the pain. But Emily will see it as abandonment. She will think you chose work over her. My breath stilled, because that was exactly what happened. After my wife died, I threw myself into work. Not because I didn't love Emily, but because the grief was too heavy to carry while raising a child alone. I thought providing for her was enough. I never realized she interpreted my silence as rejection. The letter continued, If she hurts you one day, know that it comes from pain she never healed, not from a lack of love. Please be patient with her, and forgive her before she even asks. By the time I reached the final lines, I was crying openly. I trust you, David. I love you both, and I hope when the time comes you choose compassion over anger. Evelyn, I stared at the letter until the ink blurred. My late wife hadn't just predicted this moment, she had understood it. Understood Emily's heart, understood mine. Understood the wounds that would grow between us, and she had warned me. I hadn't listened. I hadn't even known. ***3 Emily returns that evening, as if fate itself had orchestrated the moment. There was a knock at the door. I opened it to find Emily standing there, no makeup, no anger, no polished mask. Just a pale, exhausted young woman with swollen eyes and trembling hands. "Dad," she whispered, I need to talk to you." I stepped aside silently, letting her in. She stood in the living room, the same room where I had seen the recordings, the same room where she had laughed at my expense, the same room that had once held her first steps, her school projects, her birthday balloons. Now it held only ghosts. "I know what you think of me," she said softly, "and you're right. I was awful. I was selfish. I was desperate, but you don't understand why." "Then help me," I said quietly. "Help me understand." Her voice cracked. When Mom died, I kept waiting for you to fall apart. I needed you to fall apart. I needed us to grieve together, but you didn't. You just worked. You shut down. You left me alone with all that pain. She sank into the couch, burying her face in her hands. I thought you didn't care. She whispered. I thought I wasn't enough. My heart twisted violently. I cared more than you know. I said, I just didn't know how to show it. She cried harder. And Mark, he saw that weakness in me. He used it. He convinced me that you owed us, that you didn't love me, that I deserved more. Her shoulders shook. And I believed him, because part of me still feels like that little girl you didn't hold when she needed you most. Silence stretched between us, an ocean of grief we had both drowned in for years. I walked to my desk, picked up my phone, and handed her the image of her mother's letter. Her eyes widened. I never saw this, she whispered. I didn't either, I said, not until today. As she read, tears streamed down her face, silent and heavy. When she reached the end, she set the phone down and looked at me with a rawness I hadn't seen in years. I'm so sorry, she whispered, and for the first time in a long time, I saw not the woman who stole from me, but the child I once held at night after her mother died. I sat beside her. I'm sorry too, I said, for the distance, for the silence, for not knowing how to help you. She leaned into me slowly, hesitantly, as if she were afraid I would push her away. But I didn't. I held her, not because the betrayal was erased, it wasn't. Forgiveness is not magic. It's a slow rebuilding. But the truth, we had uncovered the truth my wife had left behind. It changed everything. It didn't justify Emily's actions. It didn't heal every wound, but it revealed the roots, the pain beneath the anger, the fear beneath the manipulation. And sometimes understanding is the first step toward reconciliation. We sat there for a long time, in silence, not the heavy kind, not the suffocating kind, but the healing kind. The kind that finally makes room for forgiveness,